Super Bowl 59 week was dominated in the headlines by the NBA. Not something you'd ever think you'd hear, especially with the dynasty going for the first three-peat in NFL history. But to be honest, it's kind of awesome. Not only do we just get to see arguably the biggest trade in history with Luka going to the Lakers, sports fans got a break from having to hear about the Chiefs. The NFL really didn't waste a beat going from the Patriots to the Chiefs dynasty. Those who love parody are miserable right now. And considering our other option is rewarding the most chaotic fan base in all of sports with another Super Bowl win, not that many people are as excited as usual for this matchup. I've never seen so many people wish for a meteor to hit a stadium, but the fact that the NFL played second fiddle to the Super Bowl during its own week is kind of crazy given the fact that this year the NBA narrative has been that the NBA's dying, ratings are low, the product sucks, too many threes. You get it. But now, all of a sudden, it seems like the NBA just became a whole lot more interesting. The Spurs showed Wemby his time is very soon. The Warriors invested in Steph's last era. The Mavericks proved profit over fandom, yet still somehow gave the fans something to cheer for. Don't sleep on AD and Kyrie. Serious, drink your water. And the Lakers proved that big markets, no matter what, will always get what they want. And Nikola Jokic is going to have to play even more out of his mind if he has any chance of winning this championship. But now we potentially have one of the most interesting playoffs ever. Can we talk about the idea of having the Western Conference Finals consisting of the Mavericks and the Lakers? Do you understand the types of ratings it would receive? Watching Luka travel back to Dallas in the playoffs the same year he was traded? We might actually see the very first time a home crowd turns on their team. Imagine if the entire arena was full of yellow 77 Doncic jerseys. That would go crazy. Then you'd have Anthony Davis's return to the city he won a championship for, and there's no doubt in my mind he'd have a huge chip on his shoulder. He'd want to prove to the Lakers they made the absolute wrong decision. Seeing him and LeBron match up against each other would probably cause some of the biggest crowd eruptions the Staples Center had ever heard. No matter what LeBron says, there's still a very strong chance that he knew about the coming AD trade. If my best friend traded me away, or at minimum didn't tell me it was coming, I wouldn't hate him, but I wouldn't have to call him my best friend anymore. Hit that subscription button. And on top of that, you would have Kyrie versus LeBron for the very first time ever in the playoffs. While their rivalry has certainly taken a backseat to most of the NBA's discussions as of late, the idea of seeing those two match up in the playoffs with so much on the line would draw a lot of interest. AD and Kyrie getting another championship in which they beat LeBron en route to it, that would do so much for their legacies. I would argue no other two players have more to gain this year by winning than Kyrie and AD. To win a championship without LeBron over LeBron after being with LeBron, that's pretty LeBron. The finals, however, have a chance to create pure poetry. There are two different matchups that would be an absolute dream here. The first being a classic presentation of the most storied rivalry in maybe sports, the Lakers and the Celtics. And if this matchup did actually happen, cue the conspiracy theories.
They say that nobody knew about the trade. At 25, they traded probably the best scorer in the NBA at 25. It's a lot more digging somebody got to do.
It's already no secret that a lot of people are highly suspicious of this trade. Many, including D-Wade, think that the low ratings have pushed the owners to collectively agree to move players around that would benefit the league most overall.
No players was involved in this decision. This was billionaire business. This was the owners, the governors, the billionaires deciding what they want to do.
We can't forget that the large market teams still shared a lot of their profits with smaller markets, which means smaller markets, while always willing to compete, recognize the league is much healthier when the larger markets are winning. At some point or another, if the league feels the smaller markets aren't using a player profitably or in a way they see fit, they can send those assets to a larger market, and the profits will still essentially be realized by that smaller team. Then there's the fact that the owners of the Dallas Mavericks are highly invested in gambling, and with their political ventures in Dallas not playing out as they thought, tanking the team to move them to Las Vegas seems like the logical move for them. But that's a video for another time. But that means if the NBA is already writing a narrative, why wouldn't you revive a Lakers versus Celtics? With that Luka trade, this is a viable rivalry for the next decade. Tatum versus Luka, the modern day Magic versus Bird. It would even tap into the budding narrative and rivalry of US versus European players. But there's potentially a matchup that would be even greater, and only available for so much longer. LeBron facing Cleveland for his 5th and final ring would be that poetry. And if you thought LA would get loud for AD and LeBron, imagine the level of intensity with LeBron being back in his hometown Cleveland. I genuinely cannot think of many other matchups in all of sports history that would be more memorable and more historic than a 2025 Cavs vs Lakers finals. Again, you'd have the narrative of an organization or player trying to win the chip without LeBron for the first time with the Cleveland Cavaliers. LeBron would not only be going for that 5th ring that many acknowledge would make him the GOAT, but he would be doing so against the fan base that he both broke their hearts and then delivered them to the promised land in the most emotional emotional roller coaster of all time. Cavs fans have endured not only being one of the most trash sports cities of all time, but the decision by LeBron was one of the most disrespectful things a player has ever done to the city that's drafted him. And then to come back 3-1 in 2016 against the Warriors, in that fashion, that championship is arguably the most dramatic fashion in any 7-game series we've ever seen. Simultaneously reigniting the GOAT debate and one of these rivalries would be the exact type of publicity that the NBA would need to feel confident moving forward. I genuinely don't believe professional sports are rigged. There are just too many factors involved. But at some point or another, I can't help but feel the same billionaires who probably broke a lot of rules to become billionaires are probably going to break a few rules when trying to obtain that championship. Alright, that's enough yapping for today. And if you enjoyed this video, think about watching either of these videos that's on the screen. Go out there and do something great.